You want to know the truth about what actually makes a woman obsessed with a man, but the truth is colder than you expect. It's not the man who tries the hardest, not the man who says the right lines, not the man who bends over backwards to prove he cares. A woman becomes obsessed with the man who stays calm when the world shakes, who holds his center when she pushes forward, and who doesn't collapse into emotion simply because she feels something. The man she can't stop thinking about is the one she can't easily figure out. The one who doesn't rush to fill every silence, the one who doesn't treat her like a fragile flame, but like a full storm he has already weathered. And if you stay through this entire message, you're going to understand exactly why Stoicism creates this magnetic pull. You'll see why the man who stops chasing becomes the man she can't leave alone. So listen with intention, stay until the end. And if this hits something inside you, make sure you like, comment, and share it, because the world needs more grounded men who don't apologize for standing tall. The modern era has sold men a soft lie. It told them to win a woman by chasing, talking more, proving more, showing more vulnerability, and expressing every passing emotion. It told them that if they don't open up constantly, they're emotionally immature. It told them that if they don't bend, they're toxic. And now men walk around disconnected from their masculine core, desperate for approval, compulsively checking their phones, begging for attention, and rewarding women for behavior that should never be encouraged. Stoicism doesn't mean suppressing all emotion. It means mastering it. It means walking into every interaction with clarity instead of chaos, direction instead of confusion, and purpose instead of attachment. When you bring Stoicism into your masculine presence, something changes in the atmosphere around you. Women feel it instantly. They sense a man who doesn't break under pressure. They sense a man who chooses his responses instead of reacting impulsively. They sense stability, and stability is rare in this era. Presence is the first thing she feels. A man who is truly present is more attractive than a man with perfect looks, perfect status, or perfect lines. Presence is silent confidence. It's an internal stillness that tells her you are not overwhelmed by anything she brings. When you are present, you aren't scanning the room, you're not rushing to impress, you're not imagining what to say next. You are simply here. This presence activates her nervous system differently. Women are biologically wired to respond to a man who calms their internal storms rather than adds to them. Non-reactivity is not emotional distance, it's emotional strength. When she tests you with tone, attitude, shifting moods, or subtle tension, she's not trying to break you. She's trying to feel you. She's trying to see whether your energy is stronger than the moment. Words do not create obsession. Energy does. A man whose energy remains slow, grounded, deliberate, and unshaken becomes the emotional anchor she instinctively clings to. She obsesses because he makes her feel safe. And safety in a woman's nervous system feels like attraction, desire, and surrender. Most men kill attraction without realizing it. They think the more available they are, the more she will appreciate them. They think answering instantly, always being ready, always saying yes, and always being nice earns love. But over-availability suffocates desire. If she knows you'll drop everything for her at any moment, she loses respect for your priorities and eventually loses interest. Masculine polarity requires boundaries not to punish her, but to protect the direction of your life. Boundaries tell her you value your time. Boundaries tell her your mission matters. Boundaries tell her your validation must be earned, not handed out like candy. A man who values himself forces her to rise into her feminine energy. She becomes softer because he is firm. She becomes more expressive because he is grounded. She becomes more invested because he is not desperate. When you stop giving your attention away freely, she begins chasing the man who gives it intentionally. Masculine behavior is not loud. It's not aggressive. It's not theatrical. It is slow, deliberate, and intentional. Your voice tone alone can shift the entire dynamic. Speak slower, speak deeper. Let silence do the heavy lifting. When you talk like a man who is not afraid of pauses, she listens more closely. When your posture is upright and open, when your breathing is steady and low, when your gestures are minimal and controlled, you project stability without effort. Stillness is magnetic because most men are frantic. Most men fidget, overtalk, ramble, and fill every moment with noise. When you stay still, She feels something ancient in her body, an instinct that tells her, this man can handle life. Mystery isn't about hiding who you are. It's about not over-explaining yourself. The less you reveal, the more she leans in. Curiosity is the beginning of emotional pull. When she can't predict you, she invests more attention. When she can sense your strength but not your full story, she becomes emotionally entangled. Masculine behavior is a language without words, and a woman feels it long before she understands it. Before this shift, there was a man who did exactly what most men do. He chased a woman he liked. He texted too often, explained himself too much, reacted emotionally to every little change in her tone, and tried to impress her with effort instead of presence. She liked him at first, but as soon as she sensed that he was willing to give up his center for her attention, the attraction faded. He felt confused, frustrated, even resentful. Then he changed. He stopped chasing her and started chasing his purpose. He built discipline. He trained his mind before his emotions. He stopped over-explaining himself and started speaking with clarity. He showed up calm, grounded, and unhurried. And the same woman who once pulled away suddenly leaned in. She texted first. She asked more questions. She invested more deeply. She felt the shift not because he became colder, but because he became centered. She wasn't obsessed with a new man. She was obsessed with the version of him who finally learned how to lead himself. A woman's psychology is shaped by emotion, intuition, and subtle energetic sensing. She feels more than she analyzes. She tests without thinking she is testing. Female emotional testing is not manipulation, it is instinct. When she raises her voice slightly, when she becomes inconsistent, when she pulls back for a day, when she asks questions with a hidden edge, she is not trying to punish you. She is checking your grounding. She wants to feel the strength beneath your calm. A woman's subconscious attraction triggers when she senses a man who cannot be destabilized. Her feminine energy moves like waves, and she wants to know if your presence is the shore or just another piece of driftwood floating aimlessly. When you stay calm through her fluctuations, she feels safe to soften. When you respond slowly instead of reacting impulsively, she feels protected. When you maintain emotional control, she feels guided. Polarity is created when her emotional movement meets your internal stillness. This is why she becomes obsessed with a Stoic man. He doesn't shut her down, he contains her. He gives her space to feel without letting her feelings dictate his state. This is where masculine lifestyle and masculine principles make the difference. You cannot fake masculine presence. You cannot pretend to be grounded while living a chaotic life. Stoicism is not an aesthetic. It is discipline. It is waking up with intention instead of drifting. It is training your mind and body because a weak man cannot carry a heavy life. It is putting your mission above temporary emotion, above temporary comfort, above temporary distraction. Women feel the difference between a man who performs masculinity and a man who embodies it. When your life is built on purpose, your energy changes. You walk differently. You speak differently. You respond differently. Daily habits shape your aura, training your body until your mind becomes quieter, reading until your thinking sharpens, maintaining order in your environment until your presence becomes cleaner. Masculine men lead themselves before leading anyone else. They build a life their younger selves would look up to. They become men they would follow. And when a woman enters that world, she feels she is stepping into the orbit of someone who knows where he is going. That is where attraction becomes devotion. So here is the final truth. You don't need to chase her. You don't need to convince her. You don't need to perform for her. You need to carry yourself with the gravity of a man who knows his worth and protects his direction. You need to walk into every room with a steady breath, a calm mind, and an unshakable center. You need to remember that leadership is not loud. Strength is not reactive. Masculinity is not force. It is presence, discipline, patience, and certainty. When you move like a man who has already chosen himself, she will choose you without hesitation. When you embody the kind of steadiness that her heart can relax into, she will feel drawn to you without understanding why. Stand firm, stand tall, stand in your truth. You don't chase. You carry. Before you go, answer this in the comments so more men can grow from this conversation. Which part of this message hit you the hardest? Comment below. And if this video brought value to your life, like it, share it, and subscribe so you never miss another lesson. Your support builds the community of grounded men who rise above modern chaos and live with purpose.